Ready, aim, release! Anyone see my mammoth? Hello, hello, hello! It's a Monday again. We are back with Carlo over there. More
Hello.
on that in a second. And we're also joined this week by Chris up in our top corner over there. How you doing, Chris?
Hey mate, yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me. Excited to talk about GT things.
GT things.
GT things, yeah.
Before I let Carlo give us a spiel about how his week has gone, as is traditional, I will just quickly warn you all that Carlo is running off a metered connection today because we've had a big storm in the UK and his internet is still out. Great work. We really do.
I know somehow.
I know.
Somehow, by the magic of modern day stuff, I'm still here.
Yeah.
But yeah, for those not in the UK, a storm hit the UK. We're never prepared for such things. So there were power outages and internet outages up in the rough north. Of course, Chris, you probably didn't even notice, right? Down sunny south, not even a bit of light rain.
No, it was raining gun drops down here, mate. It's God's country down there, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, I do not really have an internet connection, but I'm connected via a phone, and we'll see how long I last.
The magic of modern technology. That's what we call it. So, we're going to dive straight in, and today is probably going to be a shorter episode for various reasons. I had my second COVID vaccine yesterday, and I feel like crap. I'll be honest with you. I don't deal with injections well at all. I'm like a complete wuss, obviously. So, right. In with the first piece of news.
Can I just quickly, you've had your second injection, is that?
Yes.
Are you going LVO?
No, I am not going to LVO. I said I was going to try. I honestly said I was going to try. I can't get the time off work because I need to take the whole week off, and they can't let me go because I'm kind of integral to how my new workplace works at the moment, which is good news because the pay's great, but it's bad news because it means I can't take holidays when I want to take holidays, which sucks.
If you're this far behind everyone else, just getting your second jab, like word of advice, don't watch the last season of Game of Thrones. Save yourself the time. I'm guessing you're living in 2017, right, or whatever.
No, so that's something I don't have to leave the house to do. So I'm like actually ahead of you. I've watched season 9. So don't go there, Chris. Honestly.
So.
Yes. Right. Anyway, news. This weekend it was SDCC, and for those of you who don't deal in acronyms constantly, that's San Diego Comic-Con, and some other stuff. So we'll actually start with the other stuff first, because this came out quite literally randomly on a random Instagram post that somebody put up somewhere. I can't give you the source. I don't know it. What I can say is that this guy randomly appeared. Let's get a nice zoomed in blurry picture of him. It's a Greyjoy guy who doesn't wear armor, looks a little bit like a Cave Dweller Savage, and we are 99.9% sure this is a drowned man. A unit box that we know is on the way. I mean, there's not much to say about this. Really?
Ilya's been having some fun speculating about its stats, right? He seems to think that they'll come in similar to Poor Fellows. Seems to be where he sees them.
Yeah.
I've got no idea.
Is it just the one sculpt of this guy?
Yes. I'm guessing he has a full army of sculpts, or at least a full box of sculpts.
Is he not? I'm hoping he's just an attachment, in all honesty, because I really don't want like another 4-point unit for Greyjoys.
Yeah.
Why do we assume that he's 4 points? Because he's low armor?
Because he's dressed like a tramp. Look at him. How many do you think he's going to be?
Well, like he could have.
Mate, he hasn't got shoes on. He might be 3 points.
It's true. True. Checks out.
You know what? Yeah, that does check out. Like in terms of more armor, more points, more look more bling, cost more points.
Yeah, he's
Wait,
he's got 4 points written all over him, hasn't he?
I've got a counter argument. Cave Dweller Savages, nothing on them. 5 points.
Oh, true. Yeah, you got me there, mate.
But
Got
at least
him.
they're
Got him.
muscly. At least they're muscly, right? They've got muscle definition. That counts for something. You should know, Carlo. Come on.
I know. Chris showing off before we started.
He had the gun show out. Yeah, I mean, they are what they are. I'd really like, I mean, for what it's worth, I'd really like another 6-point unit for Greyjoys, because the 6-point slot for Greyjoy is pretty weak, with obviously neutrals and then Reapers, and that's it. I'd like them to fulfill, like, more similar to what we see in, like, the R'hllor Faithful side of things in the, if we're going to go down a Faithful route, which they kind of intrinsically are linked to that because of what they're representing in the game. But yeah, I'd much rather that kind of level.
I think
As
they need
things stand right now, 5 is fine as well. 4 is what feels like the really contested slot for Greyjoys.
Yeah.
They need a mobile option, don't they? Really? Like, is anyone clamoring out for another infantry block for these guys?
No, not after we see Chosen as well. Like
people might be clamoring. You could claim maybe that people are clamoring for a unit which has good morale, i.e., like they're not super because of the existence of Asher and some other things, but like I think people would like to be able to field a good morale unit without caring about Asher's bubble or
like
Stalwart or anything like that.
Like a 4-point, like a 4 morale unit. Obviously Cave Dweller Savages for Free Folk, Poor Fellows for Lannisters, R'hllor Faithful for
Exactly, yeah.
Barrister, Baratheon, something at 4 morale anyway. Most factions have got a pick at 4. So yeah, something like that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyway, we don't know anything else about this apart from his club looks a bit weird and it just looks like a stick with nails in it. Yeah. We'll move on. Now,
cool.
San Diego Comic-Con. That was, as I say, the last 2 days. And it was really weird. Obviously, everyone knows about Marvel's Kickstarter Zombies in Marvel, in CMON, in... Did I say Zombicide? Did I say Marvel again? Did I say Zombies? I can't remember what words I've said. Anything about those things. Marketing wall. There you go. That's all coming out for CMON. They didn't really mention a single thing about Song of Ice and Fire, and getting pictures out of the event was quite difficult. We saw some appear on Saturday, I believe, some better ones on Sunday. They had a load of stuff up. I am fairly convinced that's the Cold Hands we saw from Big Child Creative earlier in the year. That is the Big Child Creative just painting that they've done. I mean, lovely, great. That's what we like to see. Look, there's some NCUs and look, some Zombicide stuff. Yeah. More stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Big Child Creative.
All stuff we've seen, right? Yeah, not a single new.
Not a single new model.
Except right here in the background, right? That's possibly artwork for Lannisters.
Yes, we'll get onto that in a second. Oh look, there's a picture of Mother of Dragons that's been painted up nicely. Great. The box has been out for like a year now, so I don't know why, or at least been out for a year. So
Canada are still waiting, right?
Showing it off, yeah, maybe. Some Greyjoys. For some reason, this picture was sideways. I don't know why people do that. But anyway, some Greyjoys that have been painted up. It's Iron Makers and it's Unit Trappers. They look really good, by the way. The Big Child guys, when they've painted up, but they look really well done. But the important bit, which is this bad boy here, that's a much better shot of the Lannister starter set that is due out. And you can clearly see, I think, 4 things here that are going to be important. 5 things, really. Jaime, who looks incredibly like that sculpt that we saw at the end of that promo video that one time. Gregor, Cersei, Tyrion, the commanders or heroes that we expect to see in the box. We've got a guards. That looks like a guard captain, but I mean, that's ever shouted guardsman. in bolder format. We've got that there. I think the only other thing that I can really indicate is in the bottom left corner. It looks like potentially a yellow clad knight, maybe. And I'm thinking Clegane Mountain's men in the bottom left corner, which we can't quite see from this image.
Yeah, just enhance the image. Like,
yeah,
next Sunday says.
It. Hang on, there we go. Look, there's my high level detective skills coming on there. Just down here, bit here. I don't know.
Mountain that rides in the box confirmed.
Mountain the ride, yeah. I don't know really what to say about that.
Surely not. Surely not.
No,
the artwork looks nice.
Yeah, the art looks nice.
It's nice to get confirmation that it's coming.
Yes.
Right? Like.
Yeah. Before anyone asks, and this is the confusing bit, and honestly, you guys tell me what you think about this. You couldn't check the back of the box, right? Because if you look on this side corner, in the bottom right-hand corner, it ain't a box.
Of course it's not. It's just the artwork.
It's just an artwork placard. Which is sad, because it kind of means that the production of this could be some way off. You know, they didn't even have actual product to show people.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it does bring into question what the actual timeline on this is.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's not officially announced yet, right? Like this is the official. This is the very first announcement of it. Previously,
they said on the stream they were coming.
Yeah, I think they'd actually mentioned they were on there. But I mean, you know, like we've said before, San Diego Comic-Con, Gen Con, any of these type of events, it doesn't matter what they show. It's not officially announced until they've officially announced it, as we know.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't count as official.
Is this Night's Watch Hero 2 launch?
Yeah.
Levels of official. Okay.
Yeah. Just a picture. Never said anything.
It could well be that they're waiting for all of the their stock to diminish and all the other starter sets, right, and then to relaunch them all with new cards.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that sounds that's too much joint up thinking. I think a bit too synchronized. I have to see how it goes. But yeah, the artwork's stunning. Like a bit of a fanboy, obviously Lannisters, but I hope the mountain sculpt looks anything like that.
I really like Ilya's comment in chat. It says it looks like Mordor in the background. I also think it looks a little bit like Weathertop as well. So yeah, I mean that's 100% that's Harrenhal, right? That's meant to be Harrenhal. I am convinced.
Is that not King's Landing and that's the Dragon Pit?
I mean, it could be. It could be King's Landing and Dragon Pit. Yeah, to be fair. I'm sure we'll see in time.
Law nerd Leak Teddy coming to the rescue there.
Yeah, I believe that's Visennary's heel. I don't know, man. I got chatting absolutely. No, I thought it was King's Landing. Maybe you're right. I don't know.
I have no idea. So yeah, that's there.
I'm pretty sure the Stark one's outside Winterfell though for those keeping count.
Yes, we'll get into that in a second.
I think the thing about maybe the faction starters will be allowed to diminish and then like bring out with new cards. I think that the way that they've done the Baratheon heroes with the probably remolded Melisandre and redone Loras and just stealth released them. The bigger Loras, Melisandre with a nose, they've just stealth released them and you don't know what you're going to get until you buy a box. I would expect that at some point they will just start selling new starters and companies will buy them and they'll just receive starters and they'll either be the new ones or not based on when they bought them. They will at least probably say what edition they are on them. Hopefully. I really hope we don't end up with a situation where you're buying a box from a retailer and you don't know what edition the box comes from. That would be bad times.
They might have a new styling like the unit boxes, right? They've got those QR codes on and the CMON authentication stickers. I mean, it's only really half help, right? Because if you bought, say, this new Lannister starter set and then your Lanny Heroes 1, well, you'd still need the faction pack to update.
That's true. I'd never thought about that.
In the box, so it'd be interesting to see what they do, or if they do relaunch the whole range, that would be awesome. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously the artwork on the boxes gives you an indicator of sculpts as well. Cersei looking a bit more seductive, I think, in this particular sculpt. Tyrion still looking like Tyrion. Jaime,
I mean,
seen the sculpt before.
just having a face makes Cersei better than the current model.
Exactly.
Who, like, she's one of the oldest models, so we won't complain that much. But, like, she's almost Melisandre 1.0. Like, she doesn't actually really have a face on her sculpt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll use the dark sword miniature for her.
Yeah.
It's a lot nicer.
And like Chris was saying before, I do really like the potential. Like that Gregor sculpt could be really nice. It's much more casual than his other ones, which make him look a bit like a maniac, which we know he is, but there's something imposing and dangerous about a guy who's like that on the battlefield. So anyway, we will move on. We'll move on to the other starter box or starter image was revealed. Much better image, by the way. Whoever was taking photos of these, this is a way better photo. Much better for everyone involved. So let's zoom straight in, and I mean, this one gives a lot more away, right? Obviously, you've got Robb and Greywind front and center. You've got Sansa and Caitlyn stood behind, and you've got what is, I'm 100% certain, is Great John Umber standing behind Robb as well. The interesting thing here is we've obviously got, I mean, this guy in the front left is obviously a Karstark Spearman, which is indicating he is going to be in the box. Now, behind Sansa and Caitlyn, you've got what looks like to be an Umber champion with his bare head, just here. And you've definitely got Sworn Swords in the box. You can see a Sworn Sword captain style figure behind Robb, between the spear and himself as well. So, I mean, straight away, we've been given the 4 heroes, the wolf, and 3 units that I'm fully expecting to be in the box there. There's a lot less left to the imagination with this starter. I actually think I know what's coming in this a lot more than I do the Lannister one. Yeah. I don't know what you think about that.
It would be a very interesting flip role reversal if the Starks lost their cavalry from their starter and the Lannisters gained them.
Yes, which it could actually well be.
Yeah, it
like
could be
Clegane
Brigands or something in that yellow possible horse. Could be. I mean, I'm not convinced on that. You just showed me a blurry image, which didn't even look particularly yellow to me. But the Umber Spearman, the Karstark Spearman, seems like a very odd choice considering that the starter box has no Karstark word in it. Like, Karstark doesn't really exist yet, but like the Umber units coming with Great John, it seems like it creates you a starting point. And even if a Clegane unit comes with Gregor, it feels like it gives you a starting point to give value to those keywords. Karstark Spearman seems like such an odd choice with it being one of the newest boxes released and it not having any link to Robb or Great John. I doubt that they're actually in there. I feel like the art has been recycled. I could happily be wrong. But I have serious doubts that there are actually Karstark Spearmen in that box.
I can understand that, and I definitely understand what you're saying there in regards. It just seems disjointed almost to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But then, they are rarely wrong with their art. It's one thing that I will say a lot to them, is they're very rarely wrong with the art relating to what's actually in the box, in terms of choices. So yeah.
I think it's really weird artwork overall. Like, why are the stakes anti-air stakes?
Yes.
Why is Robb just come from a L'Oreal advert? Why is there? I think it will be Karstarks and Clegane Brigands for what it's worth. I think I'm pretty sure they said the Mountains Men were getting taken out.
Yeah.
So I think there'll be a Clegane unit in the Lannister one, which will be the Brigands. Which I'm so glad I just bought my second box of them. That was definitely a good decision. And yeah, I think it'll be Karstarks looking at this guy. But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
The thing that confuses me here is obviously the stakes thing is just weird, like as you say. That's just bizarre, and there's no real. So people have been on the hunt, right? Historical accuracy, what could they have been used for? There is some credence to large state-like things like this to be prevention of not cavalry, but blocking things like siege engines, specifically siege towers reaching the wall. And if you don't have to put them that close, because it's simply them being there prevents the siege engine getting through. But actually, what's more commonly used is the fire, like fire pits type stuff against that, because obviously, big chimney-like object, set fire to the bottom of it, everyone inside it smokes out, dies, win-win. But like as you say, it's still weird. And then on the flip side, you've got Greywind, who actually looks really small for a direwolf. He looks like a pet dog.
He does only actually look like a large dog there. Not an imposing direwolf.
Yeah.
Interesting. He barely comes to Rob's waist.
Yeah.
You know what? I wouldn't be shocked if it was Lady. It was a nod to Lady, and the Sansa in this set as a lady.
No.
For the memes.
No.
Controversial.
No. No way. No way.
I mean,
so Karstark Spearman definitely no. Lady definitely no.
Really ruling out a lot of the Stark stuff here.
I'm maybe second guessing my own insistence on no Karstark Spearman, because the point of the boxes is to resculpt, right? But I think that they don't want to resculpt 3 full units for it, right? So they're giving you a resculpt of the Stark Swan Swords. They're giving you a resculpt of the Berserkers because, if it is Berserkers, because they're some of the oldest things in the line. And then they're like, we don't want to have to resculpt 3 full new units. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you one of the newest units in the line to bring the whole box up to like the newest, nicest models we've done recently. And that's why it could be Karstark Spearmen and Clegane Brigands, because they are some of the most recent releases, some of possibly just like the scopes that they're the happiest with from those ranges. And they just think that those scopes are a good starting point for people. Like, they just want to put their best product out there for the Lannisters and the Starks, and that could well be Clegane Brigands along with resculpted Guardsmen, resculpted Halberdiers. Halberdiers I still think are great models, but obviously show a bit of age. Guardsmen definitely show their age, and so do the Stark Swan Swords. That could be the reasoning, and I maybe understand Karstark Spearman in that kind of way. Maybe.
I can get behind that. Yeah. I mean, on the topic of SDCC, obviously the amount of news coming out of there was limited. CMON didn't really say much aside from a load of stuff about Zombicide and a quick image that they posted, like a video. But then even things like the display was weird. Like, I don't really get, I don't know, a mammoth and some Night's Watch stuff in front of this when we know that there's other things. I mean, you can get a good picture of those dervishes, which are quite nicely painted. It just felt like the whole thing was a bit disjointed. There was no real logic to what they were showing, and certainly not really showing off anything new. We have seen the Stark art before, kind of like pixelated and blurry, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, those 2 pieces of art are the only reveals, right? There's not a single model revealed. There's not a single unknown sculpt. It does suggest that we're not super far along the production process if none of the models that are new sculpts inside this box are sitting in front of this artwork. I buy less into the idea that it's not a production box that we can't see the back of, but more that they're not revealing any of those sculpts at all.
Yeah. I think obviously they wanted painted stuff, as you do for a big con like that. You really want painted stuff to be on show, so that I can kind of understand why perhaps some of the newer stuff, like the releases we've just seen, aren't there, like Silence Men, City Watch, or whatever. I can kind of get that because they might have not been through Big Child's painting process yet, and as a result they didn't want to show them because they're not ready. That's fair enough, I can get that, but like, we haven't seen a single thing that is like the latest release they have there is the Night's Watch Heroes 2, which is now what, like, is that like 2 months old? and that's been in the
That's
pipe
not
work.
Heroes 2. That's attachments.
No, that's Benjen.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So-
But you're talking about one model. Like, you're not saying, "Hey, look, here's the Heroes 2 box."
Well, we saw cold
like-
hands and stuff as well.
Yeah, true.
I think in fairness to them, what's the one thing that especially people sort of invested in the game as much as we are say is, don't show me new stuff. Show me what I can buy next week. So maybe in a way. Maybe in a way we're proving why they can never win, because maybe we're saying, show us this new stuff we can't buy for a year or whatever the case may be, right? But yeah, it does make you wonder why they've shown the box art. Maybe it's because it was leaked already and they thought, well, it's something to show, isn't it? Ultimately, it probably fills the cabinet up, and that's probably as much thought as it was really put into it.
Yeah,
I'm not waiting with bated breath for these things to be out Q1 or anything like that. I think we're a way off. I mean, I wonder if there's many people actually waiting for the Lannister and Stark starters, because obviously this is different because this is a product that actually already exists effectively, right? Like, what we're talking about here is we're talking about a big box of alternate sculpts. I wonder if anybody's holding off on starting a new army. I mean, I've heard a few little questions about whether or not people think that they should buy the double starter or wait. I wonder what the timescale will be and how long that timescale has to be before people start regretting waiting to dive in on those factions. I really couldn't put a date on when I think that they'll arrive, but we'll see.
I think it's interesting that those two factions probably dominate the second-hand market, just in part because of age, part because of being in the Kickstarter, part because of their joint starter set. So maybe this is a way for them to combat that as well, where actually they're just going to devalue all those old models by producing these better sculpts.
Mm-hmm.
But time will tell.
Time will.
Yeah.
All right then. So that was SDCC. It was overall a fairly quiet weekend. It was a quiet weekend for not just SDCC, but the game in general. Quite weak, really. I was bored and sat in the house alone for most of the weekend. I wasn't alone. Sat doing not much. And the Discords were just quiet. I think there's definitely a lack of real things. There's events happening in the real world. People are doing stuff, but there's actually a lack of stuff to actually talk about and get our teeth into, which is a real shame. It would be nice if there was something, but hey ho, we just had an FAQ, or not even FAQ, a recent chat. What can we complain about? So we move on with the next cool thing, and I will give him his special time here. It is time for Chris Eustace, professional troll and UK LGT TO, to talk about the LGT. Let's get this one up. Hey, the LGT. There we go. It's now officially announced, right?
Yeah, that's happening. Oh, wait a minute. Arrow's the wrong way. That's happening. Yeah, that's happening. Yeah, I was going to write a list, as I was saying to you before, of everything we were going to talk about, but I didn't do it. So
But we wing it.
yeah, so I guess the important thing is that it's back. It's back at the same. It's going to be back in the same venue it was last year. It's still a 2-day event. The dates here kind of reflect the full weekend, extended weekend of activity, but the core UK GT will be on the 2nd and 3rd of October.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that must be right. 2nd and 3rd of October, which is obviously a Saturday, Sunday. So yeah, it's hopefully it will be the biggest event. I'm hoping the Scottish GT Always Winter has full attendance and very little dropouts, and I hope they actually beat what we did. And then, of course, I hope we leapfrog them, and then I hope they leapfrog us again, and so on and so on. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting. We're aiming for the event to be over 64 players. And I guess, unless there's anything you really wanted to add, Carlo, I was just going to talk about some of the early decisions, some of the feedback we received from last year, and some of the decisions that have been made, and then we'll go on to talk about, I suppose, Friday night Elo a little bit, and then the other event that will be running on the Friday as well. But was there anything you wanted to add right at the beginning?
I guess we're hoping to improve on last year. You know, like we don't think that the event was perfect or that the situation around the event in terms of travel and COVID. We all hope that things will be better. I think that we're in a better place than we were a year ago. Obviously, like really recent COVID news is, puts a few question marks over that. But I think that the event will be bigger and better. I am very much hoping that we blow past a 64 bracket and we're talking about, as close to a 128 bracket as possible. Like that'd be dream come true. The kind of event numbers that we really, really want to be able to see from a Song of Ice and Fire. And we are set up and in a position to be able to do that. So the more we can grow the event early as possible, be as big as possible, then please try and get involved as soon as possible. And we'll have a lot of confidence and inspire a lot of confidence in other people that this is going to be even bigger and better than last time, despite the fact that last time was a really great event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so last year we were the LGT organisers, so the parent event that hosts a ton of war games, including Games Workshop games and some smaller games. We were one of their biggest events last year in our first year, and they were super, super happy. So they're happy to support us, and me and Carlo had a call with them and pretty much hardballed them on a load of stuff we wanted, and they said yes to everything. So they're pretty keen on having us there, I think, which is awesome. So I guess I'm just going to run through. I asked for feedback for everyone after last year's event, and there were, I'm trying to think how many. I'll just start rambling. There were a few bits of feedback. So the first one was about noise. So obviously we were in the middle of this gigantic hall, super, super noisy, and we were off in the corner. I don't know if Mickey's got a map that you can show.
Indeed, yep.
Awesome. So this is the map of last year's event. So anyone who was there, the purple block in the top left-hand corner is where we were last year. The big block of blue on the right, which is sort of outside of the track, elevated up on its own, is where Age of Sigmar was last year. So we're going to be where Age of Sigmar was last year. So we're going to be away from the noise and hustle and bustle. In theory, it will be quieter. I didn't spend much time there, but it will be a much quieter area than what we had this year in 2021. There is a caveat on that. We do need to have more than 64 players. Basically, it needs to be between 64 and 128 or whatever the number was. So as long as we fit somewhere within that region, we can have that space. So that's one of the bits of feedback we got from players, something that we're really happy we were able to address. The other main bit of feedback was overwhelmingly people said they wanted to see restrictions based on what was available in the UK. There was no feedback. Every bit of feedback on that subject was positive on the decision, even from one of our Greyjoy players. So I know, of course, it was a sort of a small pool. It was only people that went to the event. So anyone who was so annoyed by it that they didn't even buy a ticket this time, their voices was not heard. But I think overwhelmingly it was so positive to everyone who went that we would stick to the same thing. So it'll be UK release only. Of course, by October next year, we're hoping Greyjoy Hero 1 will be out. Maybe the Trappers as well. We're really lucky.
Action packs, mate.
Possible. No guarantees.
I'll say this I'll say it for definite this time. If the faction packs aren't out by October 2022, game's dead.
We're in trouble.
And the last bit of feedback was, for everyone who was at the event, it was going to be a 6-round event, but we ended up calling it 5 rounds for 2 reasons. One, because there was a draw in round 4, but the other one was because of the fuel crisis. So I've had feedback both ways. Some people happy that it carried on, that it only went 5, and some people not happy that it didn't go on to 6. Fairly balanced. I would say probably slightly leaning on the not happy, but you're not getting feedback from everyone, of course. But at the time, I thought it was the right decision.
Yeah.
I think maybe if we'd have gone the other way, I would have probably heard some story about someone getting stranded somewhere on the the M6, and then I would have felt bad that it was the wrong decision. But I think one thing that we are going to commit to is the number of rounds we talked about or promote before the tournament will be the number of rounds that go ahead, even if it ends in a funky, weird draw and tie for first place and it goes to secondaries and all that sort of stuff. So Yeah, they're the three main bits of feedback that we've been able to address going into this. So basically, for the most part, be the exact same event, just with those improvement points. Yeah, and that's kind of it, really. So that's the main things we wanted to talk about. But I thought the most important thing really was moving away from the noise. As someone who just, who I do relate to that a bit. So I can understand why it would be a much better environment up here in the blue section where Age of Sigmar was. So yeah, should be a much even better event than last time. And to be honest, that was kind of my only real motivation for getting involved, to try and do it again, because I thought if we couldn't improve it substantially, then I didn't really want to be involved, to be honest. I didn't really want to just go through the rigmarole of doing it again. So I think we've learned a lot from last year, and I think we can build the event to be even stronger. CMON will be supporting again. They early doors said, yep, they'd be super happy to help. Obviously, anyone who went to the LGT last year or this year, will know that the amount of prize support was just absolutely mental. Like boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff. So I don't know for sure that they'll be supporting with that much again. And to be honest, even if they do, because we're hoping to grow the player base, it may not be the same sort of amount of price support for everyone. It might not be a case for everyone who leaves with a box again. So I just want to be open and clear about that. But CMON have said they will support, so that's awesome. We talked about it briefly on the initial launch, but the tickets, we're going to hold the £40 ticket price for at least the first month. There has been pressure from the parent event, the LGT event, to raise the price, but we have got them to allow us to at least do it for the first month. And tickets will go on sale the 28th of Jan. We will announce before tickets go on sale whether there is a plan for the price to go up by the end of the month. So we obviously don't want to trick people into tickets, but it is very possible that tickets will go up in price after the first month. But we'll try and give as much notice as we're able to give. So if it's our decision, we'll try and give at least a couple of days. If it comes from the venue central organisers, we'll try and negotiate a couple of days gap before the prices do go up. I really wish I'd wrote down the list, because I've definitely just rambled. But is there anything you wanted to add, Carlo, or Mickey, of course?
I just want to point out the latest comment from Waiting for Virtue Steve. Is there a yoga mat available for our Polish champion to use? Those of you who didn't attend, Sławek, who won the LGT, he would get up in the morning and come to the event, and then he would spend literally like the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes when he was there, doing like loads of like calming things, and he'd just take himself off to the corner and he sat there just doing loads of stuff, listening to music with a beer in hand, as you do. It was it was surreal, and I remember round one. We were Saturday morning. Stephen was like, "Oh, I wonder who I'm playing," and he saw him over there in the corner. He's like, "I'm playing against him." Jesus Christ. So yeah,
champion state of mind.
It was quite funny. We had a big laugh about it at the time. But yeah.
We might do a champions ticket pack then that comes with a yoga mat and a lentil tea or something.
Definitely do it. Just for Sławek.
I don't think he needs much more help.
Probably not. Yeah, I mean, I've got nothing. Obviously, I played in the event compared to you guys who were running it. I'm glad we're moving up there, not just because of the noise, but actually shorter to get in and out and to get anywhere that matters. All the toilets and all the food things were in this corner where I am. So being a lot closer to all that's nice, and we've got a secluded area up at the top there, which is nice as well. And for what it's worth, any demo games and things that they have typically happen between the blue section and the red section that you see as well. So it'll be a bit closer to see what was being played. It was the Rome Total War variant that was being played, which I didn't get a chance to go and see, which was a shame. Would have been nice to just even have a little look in and see how the game was played.
We definitely got new guy hospitality last year, which was I'll just bang them in the corner and see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I say, I think ultimately it went pretty well. So they're willing to be a bit more accommodating of us this year, which is cool. I guess Carlo just touched upon it, but the success of the event ultimately comes down to the amount of people that play in it, and maybe we'll be able to do some sort of incentive around buying tickets early. Maybe we won't, but I can say that if you are incentivized by the idea of the event being as big and as good as it can be, buying tickets as early as you feel comfortable doing so would be the biggest way to contribute towards that. So just like last year, I'm sure it will be the same refund policy. So you got 30-day refund after buying the ticket, but after that you're kind of locked in. So if you're definitely sure you're coming, please do buy the tickets as early as you can, just because it will help us get additional concessions from these guys at the LGT. It will help us convince CMON to give us more stock, and always there'll be people sitting on the fence going, I'm just going to wait to see how big it is. So there'll always be a number of people that do that. So the more people that sign up, hopefully the more people from overseas get interested and decide to come down again, just like they did last year. And I'm hoping we'll have a much stronger foreign contingent this year, just because 10 or 15 of them won't have to cancel last minute when the bloody COVID restrictions stop everyone. So yeah, I'm just hoping it's going to be one of the biggest events for A Song of Ice and Fire ever. As I say, like genuinely over the moon that the Always Winter GT has sold out, and I'm hoping that it has a great turnout and doesn't suffer dropouts due to COVID or whatever the case may be, like we did. And I genuinely hope it's bigger than us, and I hope we leapfrog them, and I hope they leapfrog us again, and so on and so forth. So yeah, should be a great event, and I'm just looking forward to making it better than last year's. So if you enjoyed last year's, which a lot of people seem to do, please consider coming to this year. Spread the word, all that good stuff.
We have had some questions in chat. I'll run through a few of them. Do you have to have a COVID jab to attend? And obviously COVID restrictions. I'll say it now. I mean, I'm not technically the organizer, but I'll say it now. Like, there's no possible way we can know now what the COVID restrictions will be then. Like, anyone who lives in the UK will know that COVID restrictions almost change on a whim by what seems to be decided by almost random lottery draw, and what happens in the news. So
the LGT last year and will almost definitely next year is determined by what the UK COVID policy is. That meant that last year, for those who aren't aware, there was not a requirement for people to wear masks indoors. There is a recommendation. There was there was very, very kind of response to that. The requirement to be jabbed will be based on UK travel requirements and UK large event attendance. I seriously doubt that the LGT themselves will be laying down any requirements, and we will adhere to what the LGT's requirements are. So if they are set by the event, then it's by people who aren't us. But we, in previous experience, and assume again that will be dictated by basically just UK law policy, not actually, any kind of individual's choice or individual response.
Yeah, I mean, Touchwood will be outside of this COVID thing by next October. I mean, of course, we've all been saying this for months now, but we'll ultimately be culpable to UK law at the very least, and then on top of that, any additional layers by the LGT team. But during all my interactions and conversations with them, I suspect their policy will be the same as it was last year or this year, which is whatever the UK government policy is.
I do think, I mean, for what it's worth in terms of being jabbed, as far as we're concerned, as far as I'm concerned, at this moment in time, like, it's not a requirement to be jabbed for a lot of stuff in the UK. Obviously, entry and travelling to the UK is different. There are rules there which no one here has control of anyway. But in terms of attendance at the event, like, that's not a thing that I think anyone wants to have to monitor. So I don't think that will ever really be a requirement, because, I mean, I know for a fact that I'm not helping these guys check every single person's been bloody double jabbed when they try and walk into the bloody event hall. That sounds like an absolute
I can't see it unless the government legislate it and provide software to help. So
yeah,
I mean, it's too far away. I wouldn't even
No.
waste time thinking about it. In all honesty, it's 11 months away. It's impossible to know. But yeah, I mean, if
yes.
that is a concern of yours, then definitely hold off buying a ticket until later on. But I'm sure for most people will be happy to buy a ticket still, regardless. I think, at least I hope.
That's pretty much it, right? Unless Carlo, have you got anything to say that you wanted to add about things
Well,
that
I
are going on
mean,
that
talking
weekend?
about the success of the Always Winter Scottish Sterling GT leads nicely, Chris, onto the other Friday events that are running. If you want to talk about them and what plans we have coming up for them.
Sure. So I'll get the easy one out of the way. So we're doing another ELO event. So there'll be a 3-round ELO event on Friday. I've talked about ELO events enough. I'm sure these two have. We run it's basically a handicap tournament based on ELO scorings off the. I'm sure everyone knows what it is. But essentially, there'll be a 3-round event there, and it's kind of, it's not serious, but it's definitely a bit more of a casual affair. Where people that are travelling down early can start playing games at around midday, which is when the venue opens on the Friday, and get 3 games in going till late. There's a bar there. A bar might be a bit of a grandiose term. There's a desk there where they have beer. It's probably a bit more accurate. But it was a really good laugh, I think. Everyone stayed late. Everyone had a good time. So there's a really, really good atmosphere, at least out of the one test control group we've done, which is one event. Yeah, like come down, play 3 games. The last game will probably finish at 8 o'clock or something like that, and then have drinks, stay in a hotel nearby, get ready for the GT the next day. You don't have to come to the GT if you play at the ELO event, but our assumption is that most people that will be doing the GT. So it's aimed at something that sort of goes late and just encourages people to try something new and play with weaker commanders before they bust out all the horrible stuff for the GT. So it'll be cool. Come down, do it.
This year as well, it gave a chance for the TOs, in this case, Chris and Carlo, to actually play in an event as well, which they wouldn't have done otherwise. So it gave a chance for them to play some games, which, as we know, Chris Eustace, the real winner of a lot of events in the UK, best Baratheon player aside from the Tane. Graham Nichols.
I hang that crown only lasted like 2 months.
And Carlo, just some random Lannister or Baratheon player who just turns up to events and loses some games. It gave a chance for them guys to play, and more importantly, like it was, as Chris was saying, a chill event. Like we turned up a bit late because of traffic and the whole fuel thing. No one really bothered, was that
Really
worried
selling
about
it.
I know, right? But my point is, everyone just played games and it was the first time a lot of us have met each other in the wider community in the UK since COVID and things like that. So it really was a chill time to really meet up with one another, play games, and have a laugh. And people did, and people turned up throughout the event and were playing casual games on the side as well. Which is exactly what we want to kind of foster, is the idea of just come along on Friday, play people in a somewhat structured format, but it doesn't really have to be that structured, and just enjoy yourself and chill.
I think the Friday ELO works really, really well just as a meet and greet, as an icebreaker, as just a warm up, just to get you playing, get you enjoying the game, get you talking to people. It'll really, I mean, if you're new to competitive gaming or anything, like obviously stepping into the LGT would be a big step up for some people, a big or almost a nervous experience. I think that coming to the ELO on the Friday is a really great way to ease yourself into the process and find out that all these people aren't super tryhards that are just gonna rules lawyer you in any kind of way. I think that the whole atmosphere around the LGT last year was brilliant, and even outside of the ELO event, Chris mentioned that all the nasty stuff will come the next day, but we had a really, really brilliant faction spread last year, particularly helped by our Best in Faction awards. And we are, almost guaranteed that they will be returning in some form. We put a really big emphasis on them last time, and we will be doing so again. And because it really did help to create a great faction spread and some really, really interesting matchups, really, really interesting games.
Yep.
No, definitely. There's not too much to say about it. I know some people, especially when we talked about it last time and announced it, there was a lot, and I think when a big TTS or run event, a lot of people were really looking into how the ELO events exactly work. The main way they work is you come down and you get to have 3 great games of A Song of Ice and Fire against some stuff you probably don't normally play against, and there's beer there and everyone has a drink and gets to know each other and chats rubbish until 11 o'clock until we get kicked out. If last year's anything to go by, so yeah, it'll be fun. Come down. And yeah, as Carlo says, it was a bit flippant when I'm saying all the try hard stuff comes out the next day. So yeah, it will be good. Come down, it'll be fun, especially if you come into the LGT, obviously. But in addition to this, there will be another event also running on the Friday, and this event will be the Song of Ice and Fire Stats Invitational event, and yeah, wow. So
I think everybody's supposed to gasp right there.
Oh yeah, audible gasp. Pretty sure I heard it. So
the chat's going wild. The chat's going wild. I can see it right now.
There's a grand total of 0 extra comments since we said that.
Crickets and there's crickets and tumbleweed going on in the chat for that major announcement.
Are you going to look at the stats, the amount of people that delete their Song of Ice and Fire account after about the time of this announcement? But no, there'll be the Song of Ice and Fire invitational event, which, as its name suggests, and I'm sure there are people on Facebook groups and Discords frantically typing keyboards, caps lock, and then all the letters of elitist spelt out, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. And I suppose in a way maybe it kind of is, but ultimately we're doing it anyway, so sod you. So the way it works is effectively there will be 8 to 16 slots, probably 16 slots, where effectively you'll be invited to come and have a ticket. And the way you get invited is by winning events, winning big events, or having a highly rated ELO score. And this invitation will be open to everyone globally. Now, we are under no illusion that in reality it probably still will be predominantly people who live in the UK, maybe Europe. But the offer will be open. The ticket slot space will be open to anyone in the world. So Bolton Skincare, for example, #1 ranked player in the world, as things stand, when we are dishing out invites, would get an invite. He would get an opportunity to attend. And if he could make his way here, we know it's a big ask, so we're not under any illusions that your country's sporting body fund is going to release cash for you to come over or anything like that. But yeah, the option will be there, and the idea is that effectively it will be a closed 4-round tournament, so it'll be a very busy 4 or 3 rounds depending on number of players. Really hectic, busy tournament where we ultimately get to determine one of the best players of Song of Ice and Fire in the world. So the way to potentially qualify for the event is to play in more tournaments being held and run on a Song of Ice and Fire stats. We're happy to announce today that Suvak, who won the LGT 2021, will be offered the first spot. We were going to give it to the person who won the ELO event as well on the Friday, but his name escapes me.
Which is interesting you say that because Camille Bloodraven, second place in that event, has actually just popped up in the chat. It's we will, not to dive in on Chris's kind of list of who and will and won't, but we kind of reserve the right to possibly pass invitations down. If somebody's already invited, then a second place in an event could well receive an invite. When we make no promises at the moment, we have to see how many big events run throughout 2022, how many people are able to take up their offered spot. But it doesn't have to be number 1. we are talking and looking at, beyond just number one finishers for the really big events. So just make sure that you're playing in every Song of Ice and Fire event you can.
Yeah, definitely.
But,
And
I think, carry on.
I think throughout. Oh, sorry, no, sorry, mate. You go. I've just noticed I'm troll and UK LGT TO.
Yeah, I told you.
That's all. All right. Okay. You know what? I will interrupt you both. Sod you. Yeah. So we'll be. It is a bit up in the air on who will and won't be invited and things like that. Obviously, if you win a big event in, say, the US or Australia or Asia or wherever the case may be, even Europe, really, we'll endeavour to invite you as early as possible. And even if it's just for you to say no, like, there's no way I'm coming over or whatever, but just to be more realistic and help with, booking flights, hotels, holiday time and all that sort of stuff to give people as much notice as possible. So really, the things I would say is if you are holding a big event anywhere in the world, get in contact with me or Carlo, and depending on the size of the event, we may be able to offer a ticket up front. If you've entered a big event on the Song of Ice and Fire stats and won it, and are interested in coming to the Invitational and potentially being crowned, the 2022 champion of the world, effectively, do get in touch with me and Carlo and let us know. Point out to us, what event you've won, and we can take it from there. And of course, if you've got a high ELO ranking, we'll be looking to get in touch with people sort of early next year and invite them spots as well. Talking of events, big events that are running and potentially having a prize up, we're actually pleased to announce as well that the winner of the Always Winter GT, the Scottish GT, as it is known by me, predominantly, I don't know why I keep saying it. The winner of the Scottish GT will also be offered one of these invitational slots as well. So the first two confirmed invitational slots are the winner of the UK GT and the winner of the Scottish / Always Winter GT. I think it's really a really exciting thing. I am putting myself up to be involved in it and to get an invitational slot. So Carlo's going to be running the event. We're not allowing the ELO event because it seems a bit self-serving if I go in after writing the rules this year. If we would do it again in 2023, we'll probably let the winner of the ELO event in as well. ELO events aren't disqualified. We should probably make that clear. I know we've been batting around the subject.
Absolutely.
So if you win an ELO event, the Invitational will not be an ELO event. It will be a standard format event. But you can win an ELO event to qualify access to it. You may, of course, want to consider changing your commanders for the actual event.
Maybe not.
But yeah, that's kind of it, really. I think it's exciting. I think it's like I know ideally it would be a bit more accessible to everyone, but I do think that it's kind of a big step forward in like taking the game forward as like a competitive game. And people who like playing this game competitively, like I do, like the two guys on stream do, like I presume the majority of the people that would ever find their way into this chat would do. I think it's just a great way forward of like getting a sort of competitive league or national some sort of goal beyond just winning an individual tournament. So yeah, like I know Carlo, you're excited about the idea. I'm sure you want to tell people all about it.
Absolutely, and just following on from ELO events and also TTS events, there is nothing disqualified from being eligible for this. Big events, competitive events are big competitive events. Whatever fan system, ELO system, scoring system, amount of time that the event ran over, they are all eligible. We won't make any promises as to what actual number is enough, or because we really have to see how many big events are getting run next year, how many tickets we start to give away. We will also have to see how many people then want to take those tickets up. We will do our best to fill out a really good, high intensity, high level event. And I think that it's just going to be really, really enjoyable. To answer, I think he possibly has the answer, but to answer Carl's question, this is, yes, on the Friday, running alongside the ELO event. So you will enter one or the other. It's on the Friday of the LGT. They will be, as with the ELO tournament, the Invitational tournament, they will have no impact upon the main event of the LGT. Just to be very, very clear, there is no requirement for you to enter either of these events to be at the LGT. There is also actually no requirement for you to enter the main event for you to necessarily enter either of these side events. But we are really, really pleased to be able to run an invitational style event, to be able to me, it's about giving recognition to the achievements that people have made. Like whatever event you win is hard. We often hear talk about and disparage, winning with Othel, but winning is winning. Every victory is skill, and especially in big events, no matter what you used and what rule set you played under, it is an achievement to be recognized. And that is something that we really think that this invitational can hopefully do. It can help recognize that and bring those players together to really, put them right under the spotlight and say, when it really comes to top players who have all shown previous winning results, who really comes out on top on the day. And we currently believe that it will be a 16-player event, 4 rounds, all in a half day, a late evening. It will be pretty intense gameplay, and hopefully even, I'll go out on a limb and say, for once, really quite televisable, shall we say. A lot of song content can be quite slow. A lot of, whether or not we're talking about like actual live streams, but a lot of content we found in our own experience. And generically, when we've tried to stream games, it can be really, really slow. And we really want to be able to see what is almost high level A Song of Ice and Fire and what it could be in person, because I think that that's been missing from our lives for the past couple of years. And with really big events coming around in the next year, hopefully we'll be able to take that forward and really just grow the competitive side of the game in a very positive manner. Like just really show off the positivity that is competitive gameplay, as opposed to any concepts of, like negative play experience that some people associate with it. Whereas I actually believe that when the top competitive players come together, you'll find that they are really, really just enjoying the game and enjoying playing each other. And I think that all those things will happen at both the main LGT event, but particularly in the very, very intense invitational event that we think we'll be able to put on.
I think as well, right? Like something we were really adamant to stress with the first LGT, sorry, I use those terms interchangeably, the LGT or the A Song of Ice and Fire UK GT, but bear with me. Either one is to really push the hobby and community aspects of it. So anyone who's aware of like what we did last year, we had the overall grand winner, we had the best painting and the most sporting, and each one of those awards were effectively treated as the same level. They got the same amount of prize support, they got the same fancy sword made for them, and we're going to be looking to do all that sort of stuff again, but and of course best in faction, as Carlo hinted on earlier, along with the individual painting awards as judged by Duncan last year or this year. But all of that ultimately comes down to player sign up, and the more players there are, the more cool things we can do, the more prize money fund there is to get the nice fancy wooden swords that we gave away last year and all that sort of stuff. So just get involved. It doesn't matter what level you are in the hobby. There'll be if you're how new you are to the game, doesn't matter if you're coming up on your own or with a group, there'll be something for everyone who just likes playing A Song of Ice and Fire, or likes putting their nicely painted models on the tabletop, or likes ultimately being with their own like-minded nerd crew for a couple of days. So it will be sick. I think you should come.
I think we get that. I think people got the message. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
I'll spell it out to people. The LGT is going to be amazing. Come along. There's events for anyone of any shape and size and any skill level, so it's going to be great. yeah, hopefully get some international people across as well. Like we said, Bolton Skinker, it'd be great to have him over in the UK playing some games and getting beaten by some UK players. Some tasty ELO to take off him. Right, it does lead on very well with our next segment, which is going to be nice and short, and it is, to be honest, the best segment of Tourney Ground now, and this is why we have the highest view count so far of the day for the best segment of the day. Cool Mini or not. Let's have a look at these bad boys, or should I say bad women. What do you think of these she-bears?
Are they Dean Rothwells?
Bears are literally just cat and bag. Just thrown the bag away. Here's the cat. Yes, they are. They are Deans.
Oh, fucking minus 10.
for once, you're the one doing the early reveals with no allowance to do so.
Speed it up.
I really love the she-bear models. I think that they're one of the best things that have come out in quite a while, including the alt moment veterans that you see there. I think you've done really, really well. I love those bases. I mean, that whole unit got 0 written all over it. Love it.
Strong 0. Is it a strong 0, weak 0, or just a solid 0?
I mean, they're all strong 0s, Mickey. They're all. It's always definitely 0.
Just checking.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get close to a strong 1, but sometimes never happens. Never happened. So yeah, strong 0 from Dean for those she-bears. As always, guys, just send me a message on Discord or Facebook with any images you want to send of your lovely painted figures in, and we will put them up on stream. And Carlo can give them a strong 0.
He loses some of his strong because none of them are ginger. Why are none of them ginger, Dean?
Actually, as well, I mean, if we're pulling apart like problems here, they are the faces on these guys are not ridiculously as well done as what the Toon family can do. So I mean, if you can't produce that level of quality on like a random Friday night, you have no right to even get a 0. To be honest. Yeah, if you haven't seen the stuff that the Toon guys produce, it's actually insane. Like,
I assume by the fact that you pointed it out straight away, you get to play against these on the semi-regular.
Play, beat, whatever.
see, but
I mean, they go on the table at the start of the game, and then at some point they leave the table, and yeah, that was great.
Dean's playing Starks in your ELO league, right? Is that correct?
Oh yes, he is. Yeah, so we all kind of reverted to our base factions for that. But apart from Mahoney, who we told to do Free Folk because he used to play Night's Watch. But yeah, no, he is. He's got a ridiculous amount of painted stuff. Dean, he's got like 5 or 6 fully painted factions, pretty much. It's just crazy.
If that's the standard, and he's putting out multiple painted armies, then that is really, really high quality work.
So yeah, cool. Thank you very much, Dean. Yeah, the only other thing we want to cover today, because we are gonna jump out early today. Believe it or not, we are actually staying somewhat to schedule. Shock horror. Is a shout out to all the winners that we have had over the weekend. We had Tiggy finally win the Song by Some Fire Revival event that was happening in Australia, I believe. And he won it with Baratheons. It was an ELO event, I believe. This one was it? No, this wasn't ELO. Was it? No, it was ELO.
No, yeah, this has been a relatively long running ELO league. Not just a league, but a full round robin. So there's only 6 players, but they all played each other. It is interesting. We have semi-covered it before because Tiggy had all but won a few weeks ago. But it is an interesting result if you're interested in what ELO can do for you. Tiggy won the event just about with a 3-2 record with very low performing Baratheons against a Night's Watch player who he just beat out despite him being a 5-0 record. So it shows that basically there's a subtle balance. Interestingly, I mean, we haven't actually covered it, but Night's Watch have been on a right free fall in terms of their ranking. If that event was now run today, he wouldn't beat him with that 3-2 record. He would need to be showing at least a 4-1. Yeah, that is a very interesting format to play. Chris, your local group are now playing like a long-running ELO-based league. I think that it is a great way to run your local games if you want to build in a better, more regular structure to it. Interestingly, I would say that the scoring that you see in those tournaments is just the same as the ranking scoring that you have in every time you play your game. So it really shows that playing Baratheons and winning 60% of the time is an amazing way to show that you are a good player, because winning just 60% of the time with Baratheons is hard.
Yeah, definitely. Also, shout out to the other two winners that we had this weekend. We also had Masara winning another event with his Starks. It was an 8-player event running Eddard and Rob. We won't talk a huge amount of time about these lists or anything, but do check them out on the Hall of Fame or Hall of Champions. And we put a Facebook group post out about this earlier, and he was in chat. So shout out to Vlad, otherwise known as LF12, who won a 10-player event in France with his Lannisters. Which is great to see as well. Check out the lists of the Hall of Champions.
A quick shout out in that event. He was also second place in that event was a guy called Alaric, who you may or may not have heard of before. He's definitely, his name's come up before. Alaric missed out on number 1 spot with Baratheons in a relatively open field event by 1 victory point. If he wins one of his games by just 1 more VP, him and Vlad both went undefeated. So there's some great results with 2, generically speaking, past performance, relatively mid-tier factions. And that's why we're seeing the Night's Watch and the Targaryens really falling at the moment. Despite the fact that they're still doing okay, they're not dominating events continuously. So they're really falling back into the pack. They haven't lost number 1 and 2 spot, but it's not outside of the realms of possibility that they will. So I'll be really interested to see what happens over the coming weeks.
Just a quick reminder, people need to play Offal and other things.
Well, I mean, they don't need to. Offal's not crying about not being played, so we'll not worry about that.
But we'll talk about it more next week in more detail, but it is actually crazy how many points they've lost overall, which has meant that people have said that it means that some commanders are now higher rated and things. They are, the number is bigger. I don't want you to think that somehow the rankings are completely different, though. A lot of what we've seen is kind of traditional. The only thing that's weird is all those points that were plumbed into Night's Watch are now going elsewhere, and basically a spread among the rest of the field, fairly averagely. Free Folk have been the biggest gainer, I think, which is not a surprise. I've talked at length about how the Free Folk into specifically Offal builds and John builds of the classic types is abysmal. It's a horrible time, but actually against anything else they're fine. Talked about that to some length as well, and we're seeing less MOD played. People are taking MOD to events, people taking MOD to things, and just not running MOD. So I think Targ are losing out because of that, and the kind of prominence of Khal Drogo being popular still, even though he's not winning games.
I think they'll both bounce back in January when events start to kick off again. People start bringing top stuff. But if you want to improve your own personal elo, get some games in with Night's Watch and Targs over December, right?
Yeah, true. You say they're going to bounce back in January, but we've ignored the small elephant in the room there, which is
the patch.
It's the last days of November. Are we expecting to see a patch next month? You've not talked about it at all, Chris. Tell your thoughts just really quickly. Are you expecting one? We are expecting one. When do you think you're going to see it? Are you planning around it being in existence when you think about the Scottish GT?
I'm not going to paint anything, which might not come as a surprise to anyone. Due to a mixture of that and all the Lannister core units changing, but hopefully with better sculpts. But I don't envy the Scottish GT guys running it, because I suspect that patch will drop late January or mid-January is my guess. I don't see them getting it out. Maybe they drop it between Christmas and New Year's. I don't know. Do a New Year's surprise, but who knows? I hope it's in place for the Scottish GT.
Which brings up Which it brings up the question: when did Visions start last time around? Oh,
About
they were
this time.
already out now, kind of thing, right? We were talking about them starting mid-November. I feel like maybe they ran for like 6 weeks through until the end of the year, possibly.
There's so
I'm
many.
really not. Go on.
There's so many additional complications with the faction packs, though, like the
Absolutely.
visuals on it and stuff like that. So,
It
I mean, I've
was
got the visual pack, I've got the packs, but I would
December the
welcome the
3rd
change.
where we saw Visions in the Flames control in 2021. Before that, we'd seen November 26th, 2020. So this time, 3 days ago, a year ago, was the first Vision in the Flames article, if you will.
Okay.
So that would have been kind of like the first mention, or the kind of like first indication of there's going to be a patch. Or the 2021 famed release was first kind of mentioned there.
I want to see an article on that site that says "Relentless, it's not me, it's you," and then them just dumping it off.
I would say I don't think that there will be any Visions in the Flames. Not as long as Zombicide runs. Zombicide will be absorbing all of their periphery media writing ability, their ability to talk about stuff. That's the way CMON and their Kickstarters work. They will be all in on that as long as it's running and up until the point where it gets funded. So I would not expect to see any articles or information while that goes.
Is this the Marvel Zombies one, right?
Yeah. Marvel Zombies.
I might have heard something about it.
If they are the same scale as that Marvel Crisis Protocol game, that is going to do absolute gangbusters for them. You're going to have so many people buying the sets as alt models. It'll be mental.
I think they're more like 28 mil, but I'm not actually sure. I haven't looked loads into it.
Okay.
Well,
previous Zombicide is much smaller than MCP.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Right then, I just want to give a quick shout out to all the events that are running over the next week before we depart. We've got some ongoing events. We've obviously got the Wargames ID ELO event, which we will touch on next week, Carlo. Myself and yourself, when we've got some more time, we'll have a little look at the lists. But here's a bit of a teaser. There's lots of Lannisters, lots of Greyjoys, and a fair few Free Folk. Comparatively very few Baratheon in an ELO event. Yeah, quite a few Free Folkers.
I'll tell you what's super interesting, actually. There are quite a few Alistair Thorne Night's Watch.
Yes.
Which links into their current very low standing as a faction and Alistair's position at the bottom of them. I'll be very interested. Bringing it back to the LGT, anybody in the Discord will know that Chris had a discussion with somebody saying that they were really pro the full main event being ELO. I try to stay out of all such conversations. I try to stay out of such conversations as the creator of ELO. I feel like I can't possibly have an impartial discussion on it. Chris made a comment that Night's Watch won't win ELO. I'll be super, super interested to find out if a Night's Watch player wins this ELO event. I would actually, I would be really pleased. I would be really pleased if a Night's Watch player won this ELO event, because the point of an ELO event isn't to make anything unwinnable with. It's to make everything equally winnable with. I don't think that Alistair will win this event. Because there aren't enough rounds for him to have a significantly better score than somebody also going unbeaten with a much lower rated faction. But I'll be interested to see where the Night's Watch finish up. There's a lot more Night's Watch entrants than in most previous ELO events.
Cool. Right then. So the events next this week coming. We've got Nation Gaming Home, and we've also got Duke's Gaming. More on Duke's Gaming in a second. But first of all, Nation Gaming Home, I'm guessing, is a French event that's running. Yes, in Paris. So that's a 16-player event. They've got their sign-ups are obviously available. 8 players currently signed up. So they're on to Q4s and stuff. Are not allowed, are allowed. It's in French. Forgive me. I'm not going to butcher it like I normally do. So yeah, there's a French event happening in Paris, so check that one out. And there's also Duke's Gaming. Scadman will no doubt be, when he's running this event, I believe, helping run this event in Wales in Duke's Gaming for £10 for 3 rounds, which is respectable tournament entry fee, to be honest. In Pontypool in the UK, and he's got 4 of 8 players currently signed up, so there's some more spaces there for an ELO event. And hey, Carlo, are you going? Because they've got dice bags and they've got golden models. This is your favourite stuff to collect.
Yeah, I do love a collectible. I'm not available this weekend, unfortunately. I'll be away, which then leads into me playing at Ribble Rumble the weekend after.
Yep, fair enough. Last thing I want to mention today, guys, is it is nearing the end of the week. We are 1 day away from the last day of the month, the last day of the month being tomorrow, which means that, Carlo, can we just confirm, are we going to be running the next iteration of the badge update?
Maybe. The answer should be yes, but I do not actually have a real internet connection, so we will find out because obviously I haven't updated the script to include the special neutral bit yet.
Good.
Obviously.
So that might be run tomorrow night then, or Wednesday morning kind of
Maybe.
thing. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. What I will say is I will make a promise for you guys is that Carlo will run the script when he's next available on a steady internet connection. So at least Absolutely. It will run for November. So you'll get your badge updates, even if it is 4 or 5 days into December.
Just as a quick aside, which is the reason why these things never finish when they're supposed to finish.
Yeah.
I think, firstly, a really big congratulations to Bolton Skincare for becoming the #1 rated player. And breaking the 1900 barrier, something which was always inevitably going to happen eventually as the rankings continue to mature. The higher rated players will continue to grow, but like you have to consistently win for a long time to get to that kind of rating, particularly when you're the first. To be the first to break a certain barrier is the hardest. Other people will now follow as the system effectively works that way. But I just wanted to point out that I'm really, really pleased that Bolton's managed to achieve it in a period of time in which Bolton Skincare will, when that script gets run, I'm pretty sure be getting not just 1 but 2 badges unlocked. He has achieved a new highest rating on the site through the process of playing tons of different commanders, different builds, different lists, and experimenting and learning and playing non-competitive army lists, right? And I think that that's a really important point to point out. He has not achieved the highest rating on the site by continuously playing Othel. He has not achieved it by playing Night's Watch. And he's not even, while he has good tournament results and he is a good winner of events in the past, and that is a part of what gives him his ranking, he is not doing it through super high level competitive gaming. What he's doing it is by showing that he's a really, really good player who can win with almost anything, right? And that is actually what the site values, and that's what the ranking system values. So when you see these players with really high ratings, you need to understand that actually what the system is telling you is these guys can play stuff that other people can't win with, not they play awful and they win all the time. So really big props to him, and I'm really pleased that he's achieved it during a period of time where he's been chasing badges, not chasing ratings.
Just a quick question, Carlo, because I'm going to bring it up the next time we do this. How's that work on that Baratheon badge going?
Well, I think I'm 4 commanders in, maybe. I haven't actually been actively chasing the Baratheon badge myself. Sort of. Well, here we go. This painted Andrew Estamont tells you that I'm soon ready to play and complete a win with him. because, as you know, I only play in person and I only play with painted models. So it's a much slower process for me to complete the Baratheon badge, as it requires me to paint about 10 commanders that I don't actually currently have.
Fair enough. Chris, just a quick one on that. That model, strong 0, weak 0, pretty pathetic 0 from yourself.
Hey, he's ginger, right? Would you?
Yeah, no, it looked so bad. I thought my screen crashed. It was pretty terrible.
I agree.
0.
Yeah. 0 from us. Not a cool
Woo!
mini. Woo, maximum points.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
We will leave it there for this week. We can laugh about the fact that Carlo hasn't got any more badges on next week's event, hopefully, on next week's Tourney Ground. Thank you very much, Chris, for joining us again to talk about the LGT and all of the information there. There will be more things we talk about in the future. We will, of course, announce when tickets go on sale. We'll be taking you through the process there. We'll definitely have you back on again, Chris, because we kind of like you. So, yeah, we'll take it there, guys. Any last words from either of you?
Come to the GT, get on the waiting list for the Scottish GT if you're not already. Play in as many Song of Ice events on a Song of Ice and Fire stats. And importantly, I think we already said it, but they have to be on a Song of Ice and Fire stats to potentially qualify for an invitational spot. But yeah, it'll be cool. Come down.
Fab. Carlo, before your phone dies a death.
I'll add, also come to LVO if you can.
And last thing from me is just enjoy your games, guys. That's what it's about, enjoying our games, putting figures that we like on the table and having fun with them. And I really hope those people playing events this week and just games with their mates, friends, family, whatever it is, have a great week. And we'll see you all next Monday. Take it easy, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ready, aim, release! Anyone see my mammoth?